Hey guys, back again. I just thought I would show you a niche little spot I have, a little hidden gem that is all my own. I'm sure other people have come through here, but nobody really comes up this back of this park, so it's a really good spot to get away from it all. And it's beautiful pine trees, as you can see. And I don't know if any of you have done any investigation. Oh, they're not pine trees, actually. What am I saying? The bark look like pine. Look at them. They're a maple. They're actually a maple. Okay, so all the pine trees... Oh, there's pine trees ahead of me. Right. That's what I was looking at. It was ahead of me, and then I went, oh, what are these? Oh, you right, Bo? Good boy. Come on, come in here, Bo. This is a really beautiful little hidden spot at the back of the park. Like I said, but I can't go far with Bo, so he's just walked about 75 metres from the car. And I got very teary coming here because I'm starting to realise that I have to sit and think about how I'm going to feel when he's gone instead of just waiting and seeing how I'm going to react. I need to actually put myself through that scenario. I know a lot of you couldn't do that. I can't either until the time comes. You know, it's just preparing your heart. You know, it's not like losing something suddenly. So I guess if you do have time to enjoy and just the wonder and the beauty of the love you get from your animals and your friends, they're your friends. So I need to prepare myself because, you know, I don't know, a year ago I thought I was going to have to say goodnight, but he's still really good. So, here I am at another park, and we'll see if any weird noises happen. But I will tell you what I was hearing last night. Very, very loud, very high aircraft above Brisbane. But they were very loud and very high. But for how high they were to how loud they were definitely probably military, and it happened quite a few times. So it started in the afternoon. It seems that there's some sort of movement going on with the military here. I was out at Amberley the other day, and there are a lot of C-17s flying in, and we've never seen them fly so low. There was a guy there who was in the army with me, and he said, whoa, that's like only 150 feet above us. I'm like, yeah, it actually was. And we weren't that close to Amberley, and it was on the approach. So it was very strange. And I've talked to people out there years ago who used to get really excited when things heated up. You know, if a little bit more activity, and they'd all think, hey, it's World War III, you know, which is just ridiculous because we don't want that. We don't want that. Okay? And depending on where we are in time, which we all have to be really sensible about this, where really are we in time, depending on that is going to depend on the outcome of all this. But the outcome of all this, guys, it's still the same. The Father comes back and lays hold of those who are his, and lays hold of his enemy for the last time. That's the last of it. That's the last of it. Can you see that thing? Look at this. What is this thing? I can barely see it. Can the camera see that? I don't think it's a cobweb. Nope. I just put my hand above it. Nope. Nope. No, it was. I thought it was something floating in front of the camera. I have seen little orbs and that show up in people's footage, so anything's possible. And speaking of that, so these aircraft, the military aircraft, they weren't Growlers, they weren't Hornets. I know that the sounds of the aircrafts from going out there for so long. And I can tell you guys that there was some movement in the station last night. So apart from that, I have been examining transformer blasts. And seeing some pretty amazing things. Because these blasts, are they blasts or are they what we've been learning about the last week? You know, these aerials, these entities that have been allowed to come back in now. I guess we've only got two choices with this. Some of these explosions and that would be generic. They would be from faulty equipment. But the ones that are not, and someone posed the question yesterday, how about all the train derailments? Is it people putting stuff on the track, or is it time for mankind to pay the price? And they're just going to go out for everybody. I'm not sure which it is, but I can tell you that we were told in the Book of Enoch, we were told in the Bible that this would happen. And so we won't be taken by surprise, some of us. And I can hear very, very high craft. There's probably the military up there because they'd be out they'd be starting, but there's some very high activity as I speak. So if anybody saw that video I did where there was machines in the sky, as I called it, thank you for your thoughts on that. I'd like some more feedback though. Now someone said it sounded like a clanky door on a, well, that's what I was trying to get to, that clanky steel sound. Very, very not something you hear unless you're in a ship, a submarine or something, or I guess in a spacecraft, because it was high up, but it wasn't that high that we couldn't hear it. Okay, just keep your ears open for things like this, because if you spend a lot of time in the outdoors, which I do, I'm outdoors all day, every day, well, you're going to start seeing things and hearing things. And we're at the beginning of them revealing themselves to mankind. Either way. No, I don't know if they're doing the train derailments as well. I don't know if they're doing all the explosions in the chemical plants. That is a very, very good question. But somebody is. It is happening. And that's what we have to come to terms with. Okay, what we've been talking about for me, it's going on 5.5 years, is actually happening. This is not a drill. Now, any of you know Pink Floyd and the influence that Roger Waters has on the world? His last album, guys, was called This Is Not a Drill. And some of you might have seen some of the footage of the live concerts from This Is Not a Drill tour, which he did. Well, it was all anti-government. Like he's on our side. He's one of us. I would love to believe that about Roger Waters. I truly would. He's been my last man standing in the music industry for the longest time, but I have to admit, he knew. He had a concert in 2016 and he told us at the end of that concert, everybody that was at that concert heard what happened. He said, good evening, good night and whatever, and then he said, oh, by the way, they're all going to kill you all And the room just went dead quiet. It's massive. Lots and lots of people, 50,000 people just went quiet. And he said, but the weird, what was it? But the stupidest thing is they're going to kill themselves doing it. So he said, they're going to kill you all, but the strangest thing is that they're going to kill themselves doing it. Or the stupidest thing, one of those two. Now, my husband and I looked at each other when he said that and went, what is going on? Because I still wasn't awake in 2016. My daughter was trying to tell me about flat earth and all sorts of stuff. Like, my daughter did wake up before me. Then she went back to sleep. Then I woke up. And now she's woken up again, if you know what I mean. It sounds very cliche, but it's kind of the way we explain it, isn't it? So, Roger Waters was warning people in 2016, but was he warning from the good camp, or was he warning to save his own butt? Because they think that if they tell us what they're doing, that it's okay. The thing I don't like about Roger Waters is he is a very strong proponent of Julian Assange. And if you can say anything you like, you can say you're wrong, or he's an Aussie, you should stick up for him. He's a plant. He's a complete and utter part of the show. Pamela Anderson, Pamela Anderson going and visiting him and spending time with him like timey time. And no, I don't think there is anyone left standing. I think Roger fell by the sword, and that's a real shame, because he was a good proponent for us. He really was. And he's let the team down. I'm sorry, Roger. I'm going to unsubscribe from your YouTube channel because you're fake. Actually, you're not fake. You're just saying... No, you're saying the truth, but you're making out you're one of us. And that is a lie. There is no truth in that. You can't have the world and have the Creator too. He was very, very meticulous about telling us that throughout the Bible, that we couldn't have Mammon and him. So it's a real shame that those we did listen to when we were young and we thought, all in all, you're just another brick in the wall. What a revolutionary album that was for the teenagers to rebel. But in saying that, it was true what he was saying, that we've all been just bricks in the wall. I believe for him, it was all just a big expose. And he got the life he wanted to expose what was really happening. And he had the talent, he had the gift with music to be able to do that, so he was chosen. It's crazy, isn't it? Now, as I said with these boomings that I've been looking at, these transformer explosions, there is definite, it's not pareidolia, there is definite faces in explosions, which makes me think that maybe every time there is an explosion, because there is so much, demonic activity that has been let loose, that these things weren't loose like that, but they can come through that, because that is such a force of energy that these demonic entities can come through the blast. And that is part of how they're manifesting. Okay, so the aerials cause blasts, but then there's others that come out of the blast. And if you think what you've always imagined hell as, what you've been led to believe over these years, of faces contorted just screaming in the flames, this is what we're seeing. But it's not pareidolia. Some of the faces are too real. Now, I uploaded one And one of my good subscribers actually kind of poked a bit of fun, which is cool, mate. Don't worry, I'm not worried about that. Saying it's CGI and that. It wasn't CGI. It was actually footage that I had filmed. It was footage that was filmed by a guy in, I wrote the town it was in. I cannot remember now. No, I can't remember. Sorry, I've so much information going around my head. However, it wasn't CGI. It was, I took a still shot. I sat there meticulously going through that because I could do a whole live stream on that one piece of footage. The things in that is even more than faces. There is textures, there is beings flying around. Okay, so you can do it yourself. You just have to be patient. You have to want it. It's not that you want to see it. You have to want it because it's very tedious to sit there and do it. Stop it frame by frame. I mean, it's very slow going. But your work will be rewarded if you're diligent. And all I did was say to the Father, if they're there, let me capture them. We need to be seeing what's happening. We don't want to be living in a fantasy land where everything's wonderful and great. No, we actually are in the Hansel and Gretel horror story side of it. It's what I feel like. I'm in these woods. It's like Hansel and Gretel. And see, I trust Father wherever I go. I know these things are everywhere. But I never fear for my physical harm. And if they did, I'm going to give them a bit of a showdown if they're going to try and beat me up, these entities, because I was beat up by one in 1989. Christmas Eve 1989. I was attacked by an entity. Told you it never gets me. Now, it's taken me a while to come out with this because I don't want anybody to believe that I am going off the rails on this Ariel's side of things. As I said, I don't like to get stuck in one particular genre, okay? So, the thing is, in 1989, Christmas Eve, I was thrown into a wall violently by something that wasn't there. Violently thrown into the wall that much that my arm and my leg had smashed into what we call, what would you call them? In the really old houses, they don't build them like this anymore, but the windows actually had like a ledge coming out that you could put stuff on. And this house had two separate windows, one on the top and one on the bottom, and they both had these ledges. And when I was pushed, the ledges is what gave me the bruise. So I was physically attacked, quite painfully. If anyone should be scared, it probably would be me if I didn't know what I know about the saving power of what he did for us. Okay? Now, I had a witness to this episode, and in the same house the very next day, I was standing talking to my future, who was going to be my mother-in-law. Wasn't then, but my future mother-in-law. And she had her hands in a door frame in her own bedroom. There wasn't a drop of wind, and my husband and I were standing there talking to her, and the door she just moved her hands out of the way. I forgot to say that bit. The door slammed shut with such a force. Now, that was the very next night after I was thrown into the wall, but I was a stranger in that house, and it didn't like me. And the funny thing was, we went to this town called Mackay for a visit. I'd never been there before. We went to see my future husband's parents, to meet, so I could meet them properly. I had said hello to them, but to meet them. And I went up there an absolute heathen, a heathen. I was no one. And I was attacked violently by a demon. This is my testimony. Now, what happened after that was, I remember leaving Mackay. We were only up there for a week. We never went back in that room. We didn't even go back in that room once we awoken from what we didn't awake. I mean, it's that bit is a very long story, sort of, for me to go through at the minute, but I will share it with you if you want to hear it. However, the thing I'm getting at is, why was I attacked so violently? And why was it me? Why didn't it attack my husband? I think I know. Because the town that it happened in Mackay, after it happened, I just went, I never want to go to that town again. That's creepy. It's evil. It's an old town. The house is evil. And I just didn't get a good vibe from Mackay at all. In 1994, so 5 years later, we decided to leave the Gold Coast. And we were travelling to Cairns, which is right up the top of Australia. But on the way, my husband's brother was living in Mackay, so we stopped in. And we never left. Because the Father took us there. We were saved there. I came to the knowledge of real good and evil there. The first day that I come to realisation, after doing some research into a man called Barry Smith, after that, I prayed a prayer one night. Then the first night I ever did it, I had angels speaking scriptures to me. I didn't even know the words Ephesians or Philippians. I hadn't read the Bible. So the very next day, that Bible did not leave my side for so long. For so long, I read it all the time. It wasn't changed back then. It still said the Lion and the Lamb too. By the way, it did. Now, if you can see where I'm getting at with this, is that the demon knew that that town was where I was going to go back to get saved. They know. They can see part of the future. They can. And that demon wanted to scare me so bad from going back to that town. And it nearly did. Because when I got back to Mackay, I still wasn't with the Father. We were just passing through. And somehow, my husband scored a job. Oh, we'll just do this for a month and then we'll keep going. We'll have more money to get to Cairns. Yeah, okay, well, we'll stay with your brother for a month. We never left. Father called me. So I can see what that demon was doing. And I'm not joking, guys. I was violently pushed into a wall in 1989. It kind of brings me to where I am today. I didn't even realise when I started this channel how this could go, how many people's lives I could affect by just speaking. And now I take it so seriously. More than you can ever imagine. And that's why I don't like showing my face a lot. I'll do videos where I talk and that, but I want to you guys to concentrate on the message. Because when these messages come through me, I don't know. It's not like I'm preaching the Bible. I am just telling you things that He's given me. And I really needed to share my demonic attack because it did nothing but strengthen me. And so now you might know my interest in the aerials and catching these entities in the act, because I believe that was cloaked with our technology up until a time, but these new cameras, we can see this stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if there are several things in this video, because they are in the forests. Sounds like a bit of construction work over there, that's all. That was over, not up. It's loud. Now, this is also fascinating to me because once that happened to me, I really thought I was in trouble. And I didn't know what to do. I just knew to get out of that town. Okay? Now, I did have one instance where when we went back to that town to live for 15 years, that we went to a high mountain one night and camped with my husband's best friend. Our children were very young, and we were in a tent, of course. The four of us were in a tent, and our friend was in the other tent. We all went to sleep. I was laying there listening to just the beautiful quiet because everyone was so tired. And it was just so quiet and beautiful. And next minute, there was a very sudden, direct pressure on my throat because I was laying on my back. And I just still to this day can tell you it was honestly a hand going around my throat and blocking my airwave, and all I could do, because I had been saved, I'd come to the saving grace by this time in Mackay, and so all I could do was go, Jesus, because I couldn't get air out, and so it sounded really muffled and weird. That thing let go of my neck instantly. So this stuff about the name Yeshua, Jesus, I say both, but they know who he is. He knows who he is. So don't get into silly arguments with people about the name of the Son of the Most High. Just don't worry about that. You have to be, now is the time where you need to step up and really be mature about all this stuff. There is no need to fight with other Christians about anything if you are secure in your faith. And I know that he knows the name Jesus. I believe he knows the name Yeshua too. We're speaking to him. So I've been attacked twice, and I know others that have been attacked as well. My fascination isn't so much because I need to see them anymore. I've seen many things manifest, like shadows, orbs, and all that. I don't speak about it much. But this is where the interest, not the fascination, but the interest comes for me to actually capture these things on film to show you. And so usually that can be very, very tedious if I want to do that. It takes me a long time. A lot of times I've got some awesome subscribers that keep an eye on my videos, and they have sent me these things manifesting in the bush in front of me, and you don't even know they're there. The dogs pick them up. The dogs always know they're there. If you think something's off and you look at the dogs, they will tell you. Now, in that video where the machine in the sky went off, that noise, Bo, who was just having so much trouble walking, you could see it. He was just struggling. Bo stopped and looked up. Bo doesn't look up. Jazzy looks at planes. Jazzy's funny. She's always looked at planes. But Jazzy wasn't on the film, on the footage. Bo was. And Bo doesn't look up. I've never had really a blue heeler that looks up at the sky when a plane or anything, a noise or anything, comes along. He did. And one of my subscribers picked that out to me, and I went, wow. If it was just a noise like they're hearing over there, there's some sort of construction banging going on over there, they don't care. They know that's a constant noise that's man-made. But anyway, all right. I'm really happy to be able to talk to you guys. And like I said, I take this very seriously because time is short, and I did not know what kind of an impact I could have had on anybody's lives just speaking, like I said before. And I thank you all very much who listen. But always use discernment with everybody. Everybody. There are many of us that are just doing our best to do our best. But we're still going to fall sometimes. We still might say things you don't like. We might have our ideas you don't like. But we would never learn anything if we just, you're best friends with someone one day and then next day they're telling you weird things and you're going, I can't be your friend anymore. Sometimes we need to listen to that friend's weird ideas and go, well, you've got a point there. I'm going to look into that. Because, a wise man will search out a matter, and a foolish man will say, no, I'm not going to get anything out of that. I'm not going to waste my time with it. They're not going to get anything out of it. And so don't be like the foolish man. Be the wise man, listen to people. It's like, learning about the occult. We need to know our enemy. It doesn't mean that we listen to it in that way. But there are things that we must do and pursue in order for us to grow. Okay? So I'm trying to, that's part of it. This is learning their tactics. What was that, Jazzy? She's a bit edgy at the moment. Learning their tactics, learning what they're doing. Because I don't believe this is over by a long shot. Not for us. Those who took the jibby jab have been given till 2025. And apparently they, I don't know if that's true. That could be all fear-mongering. But some of these, whistleblower doctors have come out and said, well, what we're seeing in the blood, these people are not going to last until 2025, a lot of them. But that's not far away. That is less than 2 years. And what if they do? What if the goal was never to actually take them out outright, but a form of torture? I don't know. I'm just glad I wasn't one of those that decided to do that. So I'm going to take a shot at it, whatever's coming. Okay, so just be prepared. Just know that they're getting really antsy over there, and they want the, boom, boom, boom. They want it, so, but are they fighting each other? Are they? Or are they going to the Gog-Magog war and they're going to fight the Father himself? Ask yourself that. Is it the middle of time, or is it really the end? I love you all. Some hard, fast questions. This is Beck. You know the rest. I am out.